didn't realize that she needed to actually print the check.
Oh, got it.
So,
Alright, no problem. Thank you.
and I realized I should have. She's new at all this.
Right. Toddler takeout.
You want to do it?
Okay.
All right. Good though. Good morning. Good morning. That's better. Welcome to the UU Asheville Church. We're glad you're here, congregant or visitor. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey, however you identify, you're welcome in our faith community. If you're visiting here in the sanctuary with us in person, welcome. If you're visiting online and you want to learn more about us, please click on the link in the chat box. And while you're in the chat, we invite you to introduce yourself, tell us where you're watching from, and just know that we are glad that you are here. And Kay, I'm going to invite you up to get us started.
All right, we're live? Yeah. This is in case I start to ramble, which can happen. Today we are dedicating our RE teachers. So I wanted to share with you what being an RE teacher has meant for me. Long ago, when I first started attending a UU congregation, I would come to Sunday worship, slip in and slip out and not get involved. Until one day, Shirley Reinfelder, I'll never forget her name, asked me to teach RE. No, not me. Shirley didn't take no for an answer. She wasn't the kind. So there I was one Sunday morning with a group of elementary age kids. It was a small congregation, so it was like one-room schoolhouse. The lesson was Noah. We had a Noah, we had a Mrs. Noah, we had animals, we arranged chairs and tables to be an ark, and we had a kid with a clipboard to sign the animals into the ark. We started loading lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Until the clipboard kid said, "Stop. The bunnies have had babies. We need to start over." I was totally hooked. Teaching RE for me has been my spiritual practice. It has challenged me to be able to understand and articulate our Unitarian Universalist faith, to engage in life's questions, the big questions and some small ones. Plus, there are all those terrific kids who know about bunnies, and then even some occasional bunnies. Good morning.
So now let us prepare for worship with today's centering music. The choir is going to sing a song by Leah Morris, Heart Wide Open. Several weeks ago, we played a video for you, so you might be familiar with this song. So here's what's going to happen. They're going to sing the tune through one time, and then they're going to sing it through two more times, and the altos and basses are going to go rogue and do something different. So you are welcome to listen the first time through, and then the second time sing along if you want to, or you can just listen to the whole song and learn it while we're doing it, because we're going to sing it for the postlude, and then you will be expected to sing along with us.
Your heart wide open, though the waves want to push you around. You want to keep your heart wide open till the faith brings you back to solid ground. I'm gonna keep your heart, I'm gonna keep wide open, my heart wide open. Though the waves want to push you around. Though the waves want to push me around. You've got to keep, I'm gonna keep your heart, I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep my heart wide open. Till my faith brings me back to solid ground. Till my faith brings me back to solid ground. I'm gonna keep your heart, I'm gonna keep wide open. I'm gonna keep your heart wide open. Though the waves want to push you around. Though the waves want to push me around. You got to keep, I'm gonna keep your heart, I'm gonna keep wide open. Solid ground.
Oh my goodness, how fun to have the choir this morning. Yeah, they're great. Aren't they great? Yeah. Thank you, Les. So good morning and welcome. I'm Reverend Kathy Harrington. I serve this congregation as the interim lead minister, and we're really glad you're here. I'm going to light our chalice with these words from Paul Sprecher. We light this chalice to kindle the fire of commitment to spread our beloved faith, proclaim the good news that all are worthy and all are welcome, that God is love and none shall be left behind. May we carry this flame to all we encounter, letting our lives shine with its glow. I chose opening words from Reverend Gretchen Haley this morning, and she titles this, "It Begins Now in the Imagination." It starts here in this moment, in this breath. You feel rising in your chest, the beat building between us, the healing, the hunger, the hope, the courage, the calling, the commitment. The drawing out of a new day. It begins now in the imagination. In this story we weave together, this song we sing, this prayer we bring into being from our hearts to our lips, from our hands to our life. Our shared life, it starts here with praise and thanksgiving, forgiveness, and this humble centering confession that we could be wrong. This promise that we make to keep learning, to keep trying, to keep our sense of humor, to keep close this knowing that we are all in this together. It's really good to be together again. Now let us worship together. Please rise in body or spirit and sing with me hymn number 298, "Wake Now My Senses."
Good morning. I'm Jen Johnson.
Good morning. I'm Kim Collins, and we are your religious exploration co-conspirators.
Today, we recognize some other of our co-conspirators, the volunteer leaders who will be serving in our religious exploration program this year. Our children and youth are gifts to this congregation and world. They are both the future and the present. Together, we all have a part in raising them in our UU village. The task of religious exploration is the work of a lifetime and work for us all.
We know that our children and youth are better connected and supported spiritually at UU Asheville, especially because of the individuals who serve in religious exploration, who join the children and their youth on their faith journey. Our congregation, community, and world become stronger because of our families grounded in their UU faith.
We take this time to honor those adults who accompany our children and youth, to learn with them, to guide, and to love them. And for those adults to be spiritually nourished as well, right, Kay? RE leaders and assistants, will you please now come down in front to be dedicated? I think we need another cheer for these people, right?
You could be up here too, just saying. As we share our gratitude today with those who are serving as guides and companions in this faith journey, we ask you, the congregation, to participate in a call and response litany. You'll say, "This is my work, this is our work, thank you for the gift of your presence." Note that we invite you to say, "This is my work," because we all have a part in nurturing our youngest UUs and letting them know that there is room for them here, that we welcome them as they are with joy and compassion, and to show and invite them as they are an important part of our UU community. We all have a role in supporting their faith development.
Okay, let's begin. It is important for our children and youth to know that they are cared for, to know that they are a valued part of this congregation. Please join me in responding. This is my work. This is our work.
Thank you for the gift of your presence. It is important for our children and youth to believe in themselves, to trust in themselves, to know that they can make a difference.
This is my work. This is our work.
Thank you for the gift of your presence.
It is important for our children and youth to know our UU story, to carry our principles and values into the world, and to live them in their daily lives. This is my work. This is our work. Thank you for the gift of your presence.
It is important for our children and youth to be comfortable and brave in their faith, to respect the faith of others, to live with compassion, integrity, service, and joy. This is my work. This is our work. Thank you for the gift of your presence. Thank you for joining us in this litany, honoring our teachers.
We honor these adults who say yes to nurturing the faith development of our children and youth, for they recognize the importance of that work. Together, we will help them deepen their connections, grow in compassion, be an inspiration, and commit to justice, part of our core values here at UU Asheville.
Leaders and volunteers, we are grateful for your service. May you know that you trek together with the children and youth, and that you too are transformed and growing in faith, serving with grace. Enjoy the journey. Thank you.
And now we invite all the children and youth to come forward in front as well. So it's your time. Kids, young people, come forward, and we invite you to face your leaders and assistants, because we're going to do something together that you all know, many of you know.
Margaret. Okay, so you guys come on up here, but look at the, or no, they're facing you guys. Yeah, okay.
All right. Beautiful.
Okay.
We're all going to practice our children's chalice lighting and hand motions together. So congregation, please join in. The words will be on the slide, because remember, this is all of our work. So kids, can you help lead us? We are
Unitarian Universalists, a people
of open minds, loving hearts, and welcoming hands. Together, we care for the earth and work for peace in our world.
Okay. All right. Now, we're going to sing this beautiful crowd out. Before we do that, though, we want to invite any parents, especially if you're new or visiting and sending your kids to religious exploration classes today, to walk out with your children so you can meet their group's leaders and find out where to pick your child up after worship. Okay, congregation, it's time to sing. We're going to sing As You Go. You can find the words on the screen.
Wow, the energy is wonderful this morning. So now it's time for our centering moment. In the center of our service and in the center of our lives, we pause to honor the silences of the world, to open our hearts to the place of quiet and to the silent prayer for the healing of pain. I want to read to you a prayer that feels just right for this morning, written by Rebecca Parker, who was the president of my seminary. She's now retired. It's called Choose to Bless the World. Your gifts, whatever you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, and waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up the wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, or comply with injustice, or withhold love. We must answer this question: what will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice or evil, there moves a holy disturbance, a benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting that which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life with a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save the world. But together, that is another possibility waiting. Now let us share a moment of silence together. Now is the time for acknowledging our joys and our sorrows with a candle lighting ritual. If you're in the sanctuary, please come forward to light a candle of joy or concern. And if you're online, please write in the chat box any joy or sorrow that you would like to share with the congregation. If you have shared a joy, know that this congregation rejoices with you. And if you have shared a sorrow, know that you are held in love and care by this beloved community.
So my wife Laurel was supposed to be the worship associate today. She's feeling under the weather, so my deepest apologies that you get me instead. So last week, if you were here or if you watched online, you might have noticed that Reverend Claudia gracefully and maybe firmly challenged us to think about who makes the coffee at coffee hour following the service. Questioning, do we want to use precious funds to pay somebody to provide this service, or do we want to be a congregation who joyously contributes to providing a place of welcome through hospitality? This challenge resonated with me and with Laurel, and we've also wondered about this before. Are we a congregation with a consumer mentality, or are we a congregation with a service mentality? Do we give of our time, talent, and treasure with the expectation that we're going to get something in return, or because we have to? Or are we able to give of those things with only the motive of nurturing the congregation that nurtures us? Can we find spiritual fulfillment in the act of giving and serving rather than it being a means to an end? I think Reverend Kathley's homily today is going to help us reflect on that question. Reverend Claudia's comment last week, it was about coffee, but coffee is just a small example of the bigger picture of how we can be an owner, not a customer, in our spiritual home. For me, I want us to make the coffee not because somebody's got to do it, not even because we don't want to pay for somebody to do it, but rather by doing it, we build a community that is welcoming, nurturing, and supportive, and we build our own spiritual selves in the process.
Eric Walker Wickstrom wrote a little book, a really little book, but it's wonderful, called Serving with Grace. It's for church leaders, and it invites us to change the lens of volunteering at church as a job that needs to be done, but rather seeing leadership as a way of spiritually nurturing us, not a necessary evil. He asks us to imagine church not as a place led by a few overly taxed people, but one where leadership is shared as a ministry that members of the community undertake for the deep joy of it. He says, the purpose of spiritual practice is to examine, shape, and care for your life. The goal of the book, he says, is to help you understand leadership as its own spiritual practice that can stretch you in new directions. As Kay shared with us, you get stretched in new directions when you serve. Perhaps even to the point where you can see a coworker, your children, your spouse, or even the troublesome committee member who disagrees with everything that you say. And you can have a new perspective, at least in a sense of humor. Of course, you know there's that joke, Eric lifts this up, where there are 3 or 4 Unitarian Universalists gathered, you'll find 4 or 5 opinions. So he said congregations have adopted the language of business, and that when boards strive to be better managers, we are told the necessity of setting goals that are SMART, S-M-A-R-T, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Here's an excerpt from his book that highlights that. What if it's true that it's not what we do, but how we do it? What if it's true that the journey itself is what matters, not the arrival at the destination? 2 different ways of looking at the way of the world and the way of world's religions. What if the world religions are right? What if it's true that it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, but it is how you play the game? What if that's true? Then is it possible that it really doesn't matter if you get through the agenda on time? If to do so you ignore your congregation's commitment to inclusiveness and shut people down so that you can be more efficient. He says, is it possible that it doesn't matter whether you decide the thorny issue tonight, that what really matters is the quality of your discussion? It is possible that it doesn't even matter if you make your stewardship goal fully and fully fund your budget. What really matters is the heart and the faith and the generosity that went into it. This is for some a new and possibly heretical way of looking at things. If church were a business, of course, efficiency, productivity, and the bottom line would really matter. But perhaps the most important thing to a small business, even a nonprofit, is to accomplish the goals of the organization as effectively and efficiently as possible. Most definitely matters. But for churches who are not small businesses, even though they often act that way, they are not even typical nonprofits because they are first and foremost communities. Churches strive to embody the ideals represented by the familiar term beloved community. South African Archbishop Desmond Tutu once said that church should be an audio-visual aid for the sake of the world, showing how the world should be. And so here, despite the many similarities with traditional businesses, different rules apply. There is, so to speak, a new bottom line, and the measure of success is entirely different. So he takes you on a journey of self-discovery, and he teaches you that saying no is as sacred as saying yes. Now, I know I shouldn't be saying this because I want you all to say yes. There's an opportunity fair out there, and I want you to go say yes. But, you know, you have to be discerning about what leadership roles you choose. What if the work of the congregation could be done by more than the usual 20%, and it would be more evenly distributed around the congregation? This is a wonderful book. I hope that you will take some time to read it. We should have a couple copies in the library. So if that were to be the case, there would be no burnout, no resentment. That got my attention when he said that in his book. And it took me back to the time when my 8-year-old son asked me to be the den mother of his Cub Scout troop, because nobody else would do it. And if they couldn't find somebody to do it, they would have to disband, with serious reservations. But because I loved my son and felt horribly guilty, of course, mother's guilt, because I was a single mom and working long hours as a hairdresser to support my family, I decided to volunteer. And for a short while, a very short while, I was a hero. But it didn't take long for 6 energetic 8-year-old boys in my living room on a regular basis to overwhelm me. It only took a couple of weeks for my son Andy to stop coming to meetings. I learned later that he was down the street with his friend Matthew, and they were chanting with his mom, who's a Buddhist. The Buddhists gathered. Which looking back, I think, wow, what a smart kid, right? So I wasn't the best den mother, but I gave it my all. Great projects, tasty snacks. Maybe the kites I designed could only be launched in a hurricane-force wind because of the weight of the wooden dowels, but they were beautiful, right? They could hang them on the wall. So it was really challenging for me. I had never been a den mother before, and this was, I'm going to share my age. This was 1982, okay, before the internet. I had to go to the library to look up how to make a kite, and the resources they gave me, this little book, was not enough. So I started to plan my escape. And it turns out that the only way that you can escape being a den mother is to move away. Really, really far away. And I sometimes think church members do that, right? It's like, I can't do this anymore, I've got to go. So I want to share with you before I close one little excerpt. Well, this is not an excerpt, it's a blog. I got in touch with this woman yesterday. Her name's Reverend Erin Wathan. She's a UCC minister, and she has a blog post called Irreverent, if you want to look it up. She's amazing. But she wrote about volunteers. I want to share this with you. As I look around the property, after many hours of shared labor, sparkling windows and floors, fully manicured landscapes, I start thinking about the work of the worship team, the children's ministry team, the musicians, not to mention the greeters, the handshakers, the bulletin hand-outers, and the coffee makers, and the youth group out there hiding eggs for the little ones, plus the behind-the-scenes workers that I have not mentioned. And it makes me feel overwhelmed with gratitude. In writing this note to my people, I wrote that it takes a whole village of volunteers to make all of this happen. But then I found myself hitting the backspace button. Because volunteer is not quite the right word for what our people do at church. I know I'm not the only one who cringes when somebody sees me without kids in tow and asks if my husband is babysitting. Well, no, I mean, yes, he's at home with the kids tonight, but I do not think you can effectively say babysitting when it's your own dang kid. I'd say we could just call that parenting. I feel the same way about people volunteering at church. Yes, I know it's just a word, but it's the wrong word for a lot of reasons. If you ask a grandparent or an elder of your church, I'm pretty sure they will tell you that the church they grew up in never asked them to volunteer. Historically, the church has asked people to serve as deacons and greeters, as Sunday school teachers, or on the property committee. Whatever the job, it was considered service, not volunteer. It was considered ministry. The language of volunteerism is a pretty recent addition to the church lexicon. It has emerged with this mega church of the last few decades and the culture in which small to moderate churches replicate the language and practices of larger churches. Volunteering is something you do when asked to do, right? Right off the bat in these places. It gets folks engaged. It's great. And maybe you have a flashy badge that has their name volunteer in big red letters and brightly colored t-shirts with volunteer on the back. And this identifies you as someone who's there to help, who can answer questions, give directions. That's a good thing. But I balk at the secular nature of what it means to volunteer. It means that to be a volunteer means you're an outside source, stepping in to help an organization. Volunteering is what we do when we pick up the trash in the park, or build a house at Habitat, or help sort food at the local food pantry. Volunteering is what I do at my kids' school on Friday afternoons. In other words, it's not what you do at a place that's important to you, not what you do at a place that belongs to you. And I guess that's the important distinction. You cannot volunteer at your own church in the same way you cannot babysit your own kid. Because the church belongs to you in the same way that your family does. It's your own place. It's your own people. And so, of course, you must take care of it. And, of course, you do yard work, and you make coffee, and you teach the kids, and you sing in the choir, and whatever else it is you do for the home and the people that you love. A volunteer in most cases is just visiting, a flyby. Maybe it's a helpful flyby, but it's not the same thing as belonging to something. Not the same thing as contributing to something bigger than you, something that's part of who you are. Maybe some practices of inordinately large churches are good ones, systems from which we can learn a great deal about connection and engagement. But ultimately, the language of volunteerism is secular, and more to the point, it is corporate. The notion is rooted in consumer culture, in which we can swoop in and give or take a measure that we deem fit, and then dart out again, feeling we have done our part. We do a disservice to our faith when we reduce the work of the church to something you can mark on a time card. All that said, we live in a world we live in, and we cannot really realistically extract this word from the life of the church. It is both a noun and a verb. It's the one that rolls off the tongue when we are asking people to come and do work. I feel a strong nudge to challenge how we talk about and think about the time and energy that we spend in ministry. It's important to recognize those gifts for what they are, ministry, and I'm not sure the word volunteer does justice to the depths contained in the work that people actually do in their churches. So beautifully written. We do not babysit that which is our own. This congregation, this beloved community, is not a fly-by organization. It belongs to you and each and every one of you. And I'm going to cut mine short because we have really, really a lot to talk about. So one voice, as Rebecca Parker said, can make all the difference, and so can you. As you discern how you will share your gifts with this beloved community as it begins its new and exciting journey, remember the wisdom of Howard Thurman, who once said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and then go do that thing, because what the world needs is people who have come alive." Choose to bless the world. Following our services in Sandberg Hall, you will have an array of choices, opportunities, ways that you can bless the world through service. Hospitality, making coffee, welcoming newcomers may seem trivial, but when you think that one of the most effective activists in history, included 50% of his ministry as shared eating, yes, I'm talking about Jesus. Your beloved community providing hospitality is one of the most important gifts you can offer. Blessed are the hands that provide nourishment in whatever way you feel called to serve. None of us alone can save the world, but together, that is another possibility waiting. I have held in my heart for so many years these words by Arundhati Roy. Another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing. It is in our hands. Please rise and join me in body or spirit, and join me in singing hymn number 323, "Break Not the Circle."
I now invite Gina forward to share a moment with regards to our search committee.
It might be more than a moment. It has been 17 years since this congregation last searched for a called minister. That's a long time. It means many of us have not participated in this process. So I'm guessing you might have a question or two about how all of this works. First, I want you to know that this process is well underway. In June, you selected your ministerial search committee, also known as the MSC, to guide you in this process. The MSC has spent the summer completing trainings, a 2-day retreat with the UUA Transitions Office. We've participated in the Beyond Categorical Thinking workshop, and yes, we've read all 113 pages of the Settlement Handbook. I think it's safe to say we've got a plan. I'm also pleased to report that you've got a great team working for you. You chose really well. I want to introduce them to you today and tell you a little bit about what each is working on so you can learn a little bit about this process. First is Sean Gibson, and I'm not sure if Sean was able to be here this morning. I'll tell you, Sean's teaching, thank you. Sean is the wearer of many hats in our group, but right now he is working on your very first task, the congregational survey. The congregational survey is your first opportunity to tell us your vision for UU Asheville and to tell us what you're looking for in a minister. Next, if you look to the back, you'll see Dale Wakowiak. Will you give us a wave, Dale? Dale is going to make sure you have plenty of opportunity to have your concerns and thoughts heard. He is coordinating cottage meetings and focus groups. These are small group meetings where we, the committee, listen and you tell us your vision for UU Asheville. Dale claims he is never enthusiastic about anything, but he's pretty excited about hearing from all of you. Next, we have our brilliant writer, Joyce Hulik Gingrich. She is your congregational record coordinator. It's a big job. That means she is responsible for taking all of that information from the survey and the cottage meetings, and she is going to paint it into a beautiful picture for prospective ministers to tell them what kind of leadership we are looking for. And then we have Joanne Fox. She is the newest UU Asheville member on the committee and brings a real refreshing perspective to our work. She also has an extensive background in finance, so we put her in charge of the negotiations team. I'm counting on you to keep us out of trouble. Ruth Christie needs no introduction because if you have volunteered or served on a committee, you have worked with Ruth. She is sharing her infinite wisdom and endless energy, and she's serving as our treasurer because she's really who we thought we could trust with the checkbook. And finally, Charlie Marks. Charlie will make sure you know what is happening. He is your communications coordinator, and like all good communicators, Charlie will tell you everything you really need to know at least 3 times. You should also know that his pulpit updates are shorter and more interesting than mine, so keep an eye out for him. I am Gina Ferris. I serve as your committee chair. That just means my job is to keep us all moving in the same direction. Now you know a little bit about the search committee roles in this process. I want to talk about your role. Yours is the most important role, because if you don't play your part, we can't play ours. In order to find a minister who can help us realize the vision that we as a group have for UU Asheville, the committee must hear from you. We need to know what you want church to look like. We need to know what concerns you have and what role you want to play in the community. We aren't looking for my minister. We aren't looking for Will's minister. We're looking for our minister. So we have to hear from you. And there are 2 ways we're asking you to do this. Do both. The first is to complete the congregational survey. You'll hear more about that in the coming weeks, but watch for it in your email inbox by October 1st. Then come to a cottage meeting. Most are going to take place in October. Dale is going to make sure you have information about where and when here shortly. So what are your 2 tasks? Survey. What's your second task? Excellent. See, simple. One more quick story for you. A few weeks ago, my family and I took our oldest son to college for the first time. Freshman move-in day is quite an experience if you haven't been there. I was struck by all the emotion in the day. In the parking lot were the parents. Some were sad, some were grieving a pre-gone era, most were reflecting on the previous 17 to 18 years spent with their teen. And it reminded me, we've been doing that here, grieving, reflecting. But inside the dorm was different. There was a hub of activity and excitement about newfound independence. And there was curiosity, well beyond what's my professor going to be like. There were shouts of, hey, there's a lecture about the Marxist interpretation of capitalism, want to go? And hey, it's drag queen bingo night. Yes, I heard both. And those of you who know my son will not be surprised to know that he went to both. But above all, the feeling in the air was that of optimism about possibility. The search process is a time for reflection. I also want you to encourage you to approach it like a college freshman as well. full of excitement, curiosity, and most of all, with the optimism of possibility. On behalf of the MSC, I want to thank you for engaging in this work of determining who we will be together.
Thank you, Gina. Remember, 2 things we all have to do now. So, next, I'm going to invite Tori up to talk about what I would describe as the best party of the year that occurs in the middle of November, also known as the annual auction.
Hello.
Oh,
Okay, now I'm on.
Here it is. Okay.
All right.
Hey,
Marta.
Oh. Hey, Tori. I've been away most of the summer, and I'm just getting back into the swing of things. Are we having an auction this year?
Why, yes, we are. The date is November the 19th. The auction gala will be an in-person event again.
No, no Zoom?
Nope. We'll be at the AB Tech Conference Center. It has a super facility with an adjacent parking garage right on the AB Tech Central Campus, and it is completely accessible, no steps.
What else?
Well, we'll have food, music, a live auction, with music by our very own house band, the Sandburgers, in surprise costumes, and dancing after dinner. And the theme is the Anything Goes Prom.
Well, this is sounding great. What sort of things will be auctioned off?
Well, once again, we're focusing on events, skills, and services, things that will get people together throughout the year. We'll also have handmade, home-baked, and craft items in the online auction. So our Zoom experience of the last 2 years is actually carrying over some, because we'll continue to have some things in an online format.
Oh gosh, I don't think I have any talents to share.
Everyone can be involved to build community. Help them out, folks. What ideas do you have for this poor person who cannot think of anything to donate?
Babysit my kids.
Hey, there you go.
Oh, babysit your kids.
What else? What else? Weed your garden. What else?
Dinner.
There you go. What else?
Or even simply a gift card from Home Depot or Lowe's or something, and your favorite restaurant, donate it.
That's really easy. What else?
You use love to eat. How about hosting a backyard cookout with big veggie burgers, topped with tomatoes, lettuce, and chow chow, and a fire pit to roast marshmallows? Listen, after that.
Oh, whoa, these sound like real possibilities. I think I can figure out something to contribute. When's the deadline, Tori?
The deadline for turning in your donations is November the 6th, so you've got some time, but don't wait. We'll have information and donation forms at the table in coffee hour, and we will be there every week. There's also forms on the website.
Really? Boy, I'm going to figure out something today.
Great. See you at coffee hour.
Just a reminder that Reverend Kathy told us that technically you can't babysit your own kids. So if you need a babysitter, you have to come to the auction to get one. All right, so now we're at the point, if you're visiting with us today, we would invite you to introduce yourself. You don't have to, but we would love to hear from you if you're willing. Is there anyone here that would like to stand up and share you're with us today and maybe where you're from?
Hello, this is our friend Cindy Murray from our church in Rutland, Vermont, and she's on a van life half marathon 50-state tour where she's going to run across the nation.
Welcome.
Hello, my name's JJ Schanenberg. This is my fiance, Jessica, and we're here for the first time. I currently live in Charlotte. She lives here, and we're looking for a place here.
Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Joe Penno. I'm Connie Silver's roommate, the one who bugs her regularly, and bugged her to come here. This is my third week, and I'm hooked. I will make coffee from now on.
Hang on, let me write that down real quick, Joe. All right, thanks. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Gail Bell. I just moved here from most of my life in Arlington, Virginia. Moved here for family reasons, and this has been delightful.
Welcome.
My name is Paul Hall, and I live in Black Mountain on the side of a mountain.
Welcome.
Hi there. My name is Mike Robison. I'm here today with my mother, Linda Robison. We recently moved here to Asheville and are super excited about being here today.
Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Rachel Doherty. I used to work for the UUA in Boston, but that was 12 years ago, and it just feels really nice to be amongst UUs again.
Welcome.
Hello, my name's Quetzal, and we just moved here from California. I'm just kidding. We live in Swannanoa. We've been here for a long time, and we've come here a few times too, but now that pandemic is over, we're finally doing it on a regular basis, so thank you so much for being here for us.
My name is Rebecca.
Hi, my name is Martha Kiger. It's a joy to be here after being away for a year and 4 months. I moved to Chattanooga to be near my family there. I think I was a member since '08, and a very active one at that, including, of course, the board. But it's a real joy to be in this household.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Whitney. This is my husband, Alan. We are North Asheville natives, so we have been driving by this place for 40 years. And now that our kids are getting a little bigger, we've been scouting out church communities, so figured we'd actually come inside for the first time. So lovely to be here. Thanks for having us.
Welcome. Looks like we had one up here in the corner. Yeah, John, the far corner striped shirt, thanks.
Is it on?
Hi, I'm Samuel Dan. I just moved here about 2 weeks ago from Florida, and I really didn't know what to expect. And I got to tell you, this is a really enriching, loving environment that has just blown my mind, and it's I really enjoy this. This is wonderful, and I'll be back.
Welcome. John, let's bring that mic here. White shirt, thanks.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Frank Cummings, and I used to be an Ashevillean, lived in Montford for 9 years, and took off for Beaufort, South Carolina, where I became a member of the Unitarian Fellowship of Beaufort. And now that I'm back in Asheville full-time, I intend to be a member of the Unitarian Church of Asheville.
Welcome. Thank you, John. Wow. This is wonderful. It's a lot of great visitors, and thank you for being willing to stand up and introduce yourselves. So, quick quick couple notes before we do our offering. Our announcements run as slides at the beginning of the service, so if you missed those, be sure to refer to those in the weekly e-news that comes out on Thursday. Everything is there. Our community plate recipient this month is Beloved, and today's offering will now be collected and gratefully received.
So in addition to the Opportunity Fair and Sandburg Hall and coffee, there's also a food truck in the parking lot. So stay for lunch and music. Sandburgers playing, I think. The Sandburgers are going to be out there too. We're going to continue to have a great time. So I want you to remember that you can't volunteer at your own church, right? But also that no is as secret as yes. We want you to be happy. We want you to be happy servers of this congregation. Guilt should not be the reason why you make a decision to serve this congregation. Do it out of love and your desire and passion. Closing words are by Deborah Hafner. It's our journey together. We are on a journey. We didn't plan it, and we didn't have time for the bread to rise. We may find ourselves in the wilderness, hungry, thirsty, and doubting we should ever have come. But look around. We are not alone. It is our journey together, a journey to our better selves, a journey to a better world, and a journey to a more promised land. Blessed be. So now we would like you to rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our closing song, Longtime Son.
Long time sun shine upon you, and all keep. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. Wide open. Know the waves want to push you around. Know the waves want to push me around. You've got to keep. I'm gonna keep your heart. I'm gonna keep wide open. Wide open. Your faith, till my faith brings you back, brings me back to solid ground. Till my faith brings me back to solid ground.
Thank you all.
They're loving it.